Once upon a time, Nokia was a household name and a leading player in the mobile phone industry. But over the course of just a few years, the Finnish company's fortunes took a dramatic turn for the worse. Today, Nokia is a shadow of its former self, a cautionary tale of how even the biggest and most successful companies can fall from grace. In this video, we will take a deep dive into Nokia's history, explore the reasons behind its downfall, and draw important lessons for businesses in any industry. So sit back, relax, and join us on this journey as we uncover the story of Nokia's rise and fall. Overview of Nokia's history. Nokia is a Finnish multinational company that was founded in 1865 as a paper mill. The company went through several transformations before becoming one of the world's leading mobile phone manufacturers in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Nokia's early success can be attributed to its ability to innovate and introduce new technologies to the market, such as the world's first handheld mobile phone in 1987 and the first smartphone with a touchscreen in 2002. Brief explanation of Nokia's downfall. Nokia's downfall can be attributed to a combination of factors, including the rise of smartphones and the company's failure to keep up with changing market trends. Nokia's once dominant position in the mobile phone market was challenged by the introduction of the iPhone in 2007, which set a new standard for smartphone design and functionality. Nokia's response was slow and ineffective, leading to a decline in market share and profitability. Additionally, the company's partnership with Microsoft, which was intended to revive its fortunes, ultimately failed to deliver the results Nokia needed. Importance of Nokia's story. Nokia's story is important because it serves as a cautionary tale of what can happen to a company that fails to innovate and adapt to changing market conditions. Once the world's largest mobile phone manufacturer, Nokia's decline was swift and dramatic, ultimately resulting in the sale of its handset business to Microsoft in 2014. By examining the factors that contributed to Nokia's downfall, businesses can learn valuable lessons about the importance of innovation, the need to stay ahead of market trends, and the dangers of complacency. Nokia's early history. Nokia was originally founded in 1865 as a Finnish pulp mill, but over the years, it evolved into a company that produced rubber goods, cables, and consumer electronics. In the 1980s, Nokia's focus shifted to introduction of the mobile phone. The first mobile phones were developed in the 1970s, but they were large and expensive, making them impractical for most people. In the early 1980s, Nokia introduced its first mobile phone, the Mobira Senator, which was aimed at business users. However, the phone was still too large and heavy for widespread consumer use. Nokia's dominance in the market. In the 1990s, Nokia became one of the world's leading mobile phone manufacturers. The company's success can be attributed to its ability to innovate and introduce new technologies to the market. Nokia was the first company to introduce features such as customizable ringtones, predictive text messaging, and the ability to play games on a mobile phone. By the early 2000s, Nokia had established itself as the dominant player in the mobile phone market, with a market share of over 40%. The rise of smartphones. The introduction of the iPhone. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone, a revolutionary smartphone that changed the mobile phone industry. The iPhone combined a touchscreen interface with internet connectivity, a high-resolution camera, and an array of apps. It quickly became a popular device among consumers, and its success sparked a wave of imitators and competitors. Nokia's response to the iPhone. Nokia's response to the iPhone was slow and ineffective. At the time, Nokia was still focused on producing traditional mobile phones, which were less sophisticated than smartphones like the iPhone. The company's first attempt at a touchscreen smartphone, the Nokia 5800 Express Music, was not well received by critics or consumers. Nokia continued to produce smartphones with physical keyboards and resistive touchscreens, which were less intuitive than the iPhone's capacitive touchscreen. Nokia's partnership with Microsoft. In 2011, Nokia announced a strategic partnership with Microsoft to develop smartphones based on the Windows Phone operating system. The partnership was intended to help Nokia compete with Apple's iPhone and devices running Google's Android operating system. Nokia's first Windows Phone device, the Lumia 800, was released in 2011, but it failed to gain significant market share. Despite releasing several more Windows Phone devices, including the Lumia 900 and Lumia 1020, Nokia's partnership with Microsoft ultimately failed to revive the company's fortunes, and Nokia sold its handset business to Microsoft in 2014. Nokia's mistakes. A. Failure to innovate. One of the key factors that contributed to Nokia's downfall was its failure to innovate. While Nokia was once known for its ability to introduce new technologies and features to the mobile phone market, the company began to fall behind as competitors like Apple and Samsung introduced smartphones with more advanced features and capabilities. Nokia's failure to keep up with changing market trends and its slow response to the rise of smartphones ultimately resulted in a decline in market share and profitability. Poor decision-making. Nokia's decline can also be attributed to poor decision-making by the company's leadership. For example, Nokia's decision to stick with its Symbian operating system, even as competitors like Apple and Google introduced more advanced mobile operating systems, proved to be a costly mistake. Nokia's decision to partner with Microsoft and adopt the Windows Phone operating system was also controversial, as the platform failed to gain significant market share. Lack of focus on software. Another factor that contributed to Nokia's downfall was its lack of focus on software. While Nokia was known for producing high-quality hardware, the company struggled to develop software that could compete with the likes of Apple and Google. Nokia's operating systems, including Symbian and later, the Windows Phone OS, were criticized for being clunky and difficult to use. Nokia's lack of investment in software development ultimately proved to be a major handicap in the smartphone era. The decline of Nokia. Nokia's market share decline. Nokia's market share began to decline in the late 2000s as competitors like Apple and Samsung introduced more advanced smartphones that were increasingly popular with consumers. Nokia's inability to keep up with changing market trends, combined with its failure to innovate and invest in software development, resulted in a decline in market share and profitability. By 2013, Nokia's market share had fallen to just 3%, down from over 40% in the early 2000s. Nokia's failed attempts to recover. Nokia made several attempts to recover from its declining market share, but most of these efforts were unsuccessful. For example, the company partnered with Microsoft to develop smartphones based on the Windows Phone operating system, but the platform failed to gain significant market share. Nokia also introduced a range of new smartphone models, but these devices were often criticized for being too similar to existing products from competitors. Nokia's failure to introduce compelling new products and differentiate itself from competitors ultimately contributed to its continued decline. Acquisition by Microsoft. In 2013, Microsoft announced that it would acquire Nokia's handset business for $7.2 billion. The acquisition was seen as a strategic move by Microsoft to gain a foothold in the smartphone market and challenge Apple and Google. However, the acquisition ultimately proved to be a disappointment for both companies. Microsoft struggled to gain traction in the smartphone market, and Nokia's handset business continued to decline even after the acquisition. In 2016, Microsoft sold its Nokia feature phone business to a subsidiary of Foxconn, effectively ending its foray into the mobile phone market. Conclusion. Recap of Nokia's downfall. Nokia, once a dominant player in the mobile phone industry, fell from grace due to a combination of factors. The company failed to innovate and keep up with changing market trends, leading to a decline in market share and profitability. Poor decision-making, including sticking with the Symbian operating system and partnering with Microsoft to develop the Windows Phone OS, also contributed to Nokia's downfall. Despite several attempts to recover, including introducing new smartphone models, Nokia was ultimately acquired by Microsoft in 2013 for $7.2 billion. Lessons to learn from Nokia's story. Nokia's downfall offers several lessons for companies in any industry. One key takeaway is the importance of innovation and the ability to adapt to changing market trends. Companies that fail to innovate risk falling behind competitors and losing market share. Nokia's lack of investment in software development also highlights the importance of focusing on all aspects of a product, not just the hardware. Additionally, Nokia's decision-making mistakes serve as a reminder of the importance of strategic planning and taking calculated risks. Final thoughts and takeaways. Nokia's story is a cautionary tale for companies in any industry. Despite its early dominance in the mobile phone industry, Nokia's failure to innovate and adapt ultimately led to its downfall. The company's mistakes offer valuable lessons for businesses looking to stay ahead of the competition and remain relevant in a rapidly changing market. By investing in innovation, focusing on all aspects of a product, and making strategic decisions, companies can avoid the same fate as Nokia and achieve long-term success. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it helpful or entertaining, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. And if you have any questions,